Thank you very much for joining the session and for the interest in my story. My name is Maria. I'm from Berlin, and I would like to share some insights with you that I had so far with the HR world. Because storytelling is always based on sharing insights and sharing what we think and feel about it. I would like to keep the session quite open. So if you want to add something or comment or like share your approaches, feel free to do so. I won't feel not okay with being interrupted. So please just go ahead. Me being on the light spot right now, I would like to give you a few words about my journey, what I have done so far. I'm a psychologist. I studied in Hamburg. This is where my journey began. And then I moved on to Kienbaum, which is an HR management consulting, and I did a lot of talent management in there. After a while, I realized that doing HR, really like working with people, would be more valuable to me and bring more fun. I switched to the startup world in Berlin. My first company I joined was Mobile Event Guide. We built conference apps, actually something that where you would like be the users today. So this was like a classical B2B business, software as a service. This was a kind of small company with 30 employees. We grew, and then we had some layoffs, and then we grew again. And after a while, and after 2 years, I decided to go a step bigger. And then I joined Autobird. Autobird is Europe's leader in providing iPad-based POS solutions for the gastronomy, for hospitality. You probably have seen the small blue bird somewhere in a restaurant when you were out. It's most likely that it was Autobird providing that. And we grew a lot in this time. I was 2.5 years with Autobird, and we grew from 60 to 150 employees, and we launched the European market and built an ecosystem for gastronomers to make them more successful with their business. So it's not only the POS system itself, but also different other services that would enable the gastronomer of king and midsize to be more successful. And actually, a few weeks ago, I switched my job and I started AdoptYourPay, which is part of the fintech industry. We built an ecosystem for disbursement. And actually, there's a lot of potential in a very technical and not sexy process at all, where companies would pay money to individuals. And we take this process and make a beneficial one out of that. So recipients receive more benefit through vouchers that are provided by e-commerce, and the payout company also benefits from it through cashback or revenue share. So my story is all basically based on my experience with Autobird, where we did a lot of experiments and try out different stuff to be competitive, to stay competitive. And this is where my story begins. So you probably are kind of familiar to that HR always questions its role. Why are we there? What is our value? What is our role? Are we the business partner or supporter? Are we part of management or not? We have to be in the board, everybody says, and stuff like that. So it is like an ongoing question. So what kind of value do we create? And it all is based on expectations. And I would like to share some expectations that I met at Autobird. Small outtake on that is when I joined Autobird with 60 employees, we had nearly no HR processes, or they were like very, very lean and very small and not professional at all. So I had to build it all, and still grew. So they told me, HR, please be flexible and adapt quickly. So don't build too much overhead, not too many standards, but keep flexible while we change a lot. And also be fast on that and be very service-oriented. So managers have to take care of the business and build a product and build a great customer experience, and they don't have that much focus for employees. So HR, please, can you handle that? And can you be the first contact person for employees if they have any issues? And also find tailored solutions. We don't want to be like a corporate company which only provides one way and one solution, but let's be very individual in the handling, and Of course, employer brand is also a big topic. So create a great culture. So make us a great employer so we can attract the talents and we have a great spirit in the company. So at the beginning, I was there, the expectations were there, and we started working. And actually, we did a quite good job. And we made it happen. We rocked. We hired a lot of people. We grew from 60 to 130 employees in 20 months. We implemented also employees not only in Berlin, in our headquarters, but also in other locations. And we grew a lot in the sales department, tech department, and support. We implemented also all HR core processes and standardized them and make them professional. So in this is recruiting and onboarding and talent management, offboarding and payroll. We implemented tools, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And also Audibert has a very good employer brand, and especially in Berlin, it is quite known for a very nice culture and a very appreciative culture. And people, when they jump in our recruiting process, actually didn't have a chance to say no. And this was really amazing. Though you can probably imagine that this had an end at a certain time, and this picture should change to another one, which looked like that. We found ourselves in a situation where we realized this is not going to work forever, and we have reached the boundary. And we cannot handle that all in a way that we want to have it. We had on average 20 positions to hire in different fields. We had a very intense HR administration. That means, for example, we have 24/7 support. So there were a lot of shifts and on-duty remuneration. And also our tech had on-duty times. We had a huge sales team with commission fees and in different countries, and it was a kind of intense. And we were 3 FTE actually, and to do this all, it was not that easy to handle. And we also started to restructure teams, because after you hit the 100, you see that your organizational structures have to be redesigned somehow, or they have to adapt to the new complexity you have in the organization. And so we started restructuring in several teams, for example, in our customer support, to build more specialized structures and teams that would own part of processes, and so also increase the NPS and the customer satisfaction. We also reached the point where we said, okay, we need a new leadership style to be successful, and we have to improve our talent management, which is a huge project, as you might think, and you all know that. If you redesign this process at all, it can be a really long project. And also we launched France that time. That means we opened an office in Paris, and I don't know whether you experienced with France. It's just a kind of an interesting journey. They handle it totally different and have other approaches to handle employee relations, which for us was very funny on the one hand, but also quite challenging. And I don't speak any French, and this is why I felt a kind of disabled on that manner, and I needed a lot of consultants or people who would speak French. So it was a high time invest. We realized that we as a team, we reacted, and we were firefighting. And after a while, we didn't see any value that we would create, and we didn't see a change actually that would result from our work. And this also has an impact on fun. So to come to work and to fun and to laugh and to be excited about the next project. And also some things just delayed because of the daily business. And we have not met our quality requirements that we had to ourselves. And so we realized we made a mistake. We haven't scaled with the growth with our department. And the question to the situation was to hire more people for the HR department, which was not like totally okay and found amusement by the management. So we had to find another approach and to align on another strategy. So we went back to the HR big picture. And we left the daily business for 2 days and we said, okay, HR is out now. And we were 4 in the team focusing HR, and we did a workshop. And we questioned ourselves, what is the value? What does the organization need to be successful, and what is our part in that? And what we have defined was an HR vision. We questioned ourselves, so what is the star? What is this compass? Where do we want to go? And what is actually the situation after we have reached that would be beneficial to us? So give us like the feeling to be very like professionals and experts and having done a good job, but on the other hand, also see the results that we have created with the company and have a direct impact on the success. And we also defined some principles as guidelines. How do we work? So why did we do this? We wanted to, or one major thing that would cost us a lot of time is this service orientation and being supportive as HR, which sometimes is like an unquestioned service that we provide to the teams, where it makes sense sometimes to have like a process or a task or a problem, whatever, to being solved, not in the HR department, but in the self-organized team itself. And so we have to empower the teams and not only like providing know-how and competence to them and like handle the problems for them. And we questioned ourselves, how much time do I invest on certain things? And what outcome do we have? And this vision helped us a lot doing that. And also we committed on focusing on enabling the teams and to kind of outsource certain HR topics into the teams where we thought and where we aligned this would be more beneficial to the teams if they handle it. So our vision was to enable them to do that and empower them. So we decided to create more frameworks, to provide know-how, to give them everybody a system to handle those things, and also make quality assurance that we are on track. And so what we have changed consequently, like if we look on the processes that we have done, so the headline was empowerment. And for example, we have changed the recruiting process. We have started the recruiting process with a kickoff, where all like responsible team members were involved, and we defined the whole concept and designed the recruiting process. And we trained all people being in an interview how to do this right, and let them do this. Without screening calls or us participating in like functional interviews, which is often not that beneficial as it might be. But we trained the people and gave them the ownership. Come on, this is your new teammate, and you have a much higher interest in achieving a good result than we will have, because we won't work like on the daily basis with this person together. Sorry. So we then, after the kickoff, jumped into the process just before the offer. We met the candidate and started the general onboarding then. We also have changed some HR administration processes, and we try to encourage the self-service much more for employees. For example, we introduced the tool Personio, which is a kind of very broad HR administration recruiting software where people can handle all their stuff on their own, especially having insights into the personal file, upload things, see what the others So see what the others do, or for example, also for team leads to see reports. So we didn't have that overload to create reports for the team leads. Just train them, and so they can handle that. And also sometimes, teams had topics that would need to be solved. For example, in our support team, many team members would like to do more home office and to go to part-time. We have a service time from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can imagine there's a problem how you handle that. And if like 50% of your team members within the support team would like to do home office or being on part-time, you cannot plan as you could before. And so the team managers would like come to us, HR, give us a restriction or an example how we can answer these questions from the team. And so we train them and coach them in order to find a solution within the team, not to use like the HR power of administrational and legal requirements. You can do this or you cannot do this, but to find a solution that would be beneficial to everybody, where everybody can accept it and it's they can handle it, and to find maybe also solutions that are not that obvious. Another thing was the leadership thing, where we started, or we saw, okay, we don't have that many resources. We cannot like put a project manager on this project to find all the needs and requirements, design workshops, find trainers and stuff like that. And so we decided to ship small parts to this program and be very iterative on that. So find out what is the needs of the teams and build this program very like on the need, based on the needs, on the requirements and challenges the business provides to us. We started, for example, like a little bit school-like in the mornings, Monday, 9 a.m. for an hour, where we would train leaders on a certain topic and share knowledge. Then the second step was like to have a beer in the nights, where we would have a kind of supervision or sparring sessions where we had a case and people would discuss them. This third step was to provide workshops where we elaborated a topic, for example, like performance management. So how do we see performance? What do we want to provide to our teams to do or not to do? And this has like a sudden effect. And you don't plan 3 months until you roll out that program. And I know that many companies plan years to do so and to be responsible for that. Probably Zalando, they rolled out a new talent management process that year. They have planned it 3 years up front. And Zalando is much bigger than we are, but nevertheless, such systems are very huge and complex. So, but it's like comparable to software. Why not ship in small parts and learn how the effects are in your company and what are the needs, so you have always a working system live. And one other thing that we also have introduced is to be more stick on our planning. So we used Trello before, and we had some agile aspects in the planning within our team, but we have agreed on the rule: value beats daily business. So we have the daily business. We cannot postpone it. If the payroll has to be done, it has to be done. If an applicant has to to get an offer, you have to send out the offer. You cannot postpone it, and you cannot reprioritize it. But still, we had to question ourselves always: do we create value? Do we have an impact? Do we do something that makes Orderbird more successful? And this is very valuable and very powerful also for the team members to see, okay, it does matter actually whether I'm here or not. So what we've learned, I would like to share also with you, and maybe afterwards we can also discuss a little bit. And there's only a few things. I think there's a lot more. and still we will learn in future, is create small tasks. Make it as lean as possible and think, what is the smallest part that I can ship to the organization that is helpful and that needs to more information or more preparation. What is usable for stakeholders. Make HR projects visible. After we have displayed it more clearly, for example, we use Jira for that. In autumn, we introduced Jira for the whole company. So Jira is a project management tool used mainly in the engineering part. We introduced it for everybody, for marketing, for finance, for customer support. So all cross-functional projects and things we're working on are visible to everybody. And everybody also can see what is the progress of this process and how can I contribute it and what is my value or my benefit, or also my to-do concluding out of it. We used also a physical board, where we just made a fancy board with a recruiting update and also some projects that we had. So people, when they just pass by, and people visit HR quite often, they see what is going on. And also maybe have ideas or see why do we do this. Another thing is enable your stakeholders. The better people and organization are not depending on you, or the less they depend on you, the more powerful your organization is. And this coaching approach to question the role of team leads, for example, or also POs or Scrum Masters, what is your contribution to the team and how can you achieve that, is so much more valuable than being the knowledge keeper or process keeper. But if you give it away and you let people do it, it's so powerful, and they have they create great things with that. And yes, and we also learned that we have to follow that vision quite hard, abolish HR support function. Because they can be handled otherwise. No one needs them actually. And they don't create any value. So everything that is a kind of organization, coordination, like pre-work, question yourself whether people who are really concerned by this thing can do it better and have a value out of it. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for listening to my story. And I'm very, very curious on what you think about that and what your experience is about it.
You mentioned when you got together with your team, you were reviewing what value HR adds and that you were forming HR principles. Can you say a little more about some of the principles that you've decided upon for yourselves?
Mm-hmm. I have them with me, actually. My teammates were so nice to send me those. So the principle is that we create, for example, lasting value. We don't do anything that has only short-term effect, and this was for the bin. That our work always contributes to better collaboration within the teams and mastery within the organization. So this was the very high value to question it. We consider all stakeholders and act at eye level. So we never are we don't have a role where we only support, or we give in processes and say, that's it, this is done, this is decided, do it that way. We are honest to ourselves and others, act fair and appreciatively, which is a hard thing, actually, to be honest to yourself always and to reflect the actions you do and question yourself. Am I the best one to solve that thing now, or do I need to ask someone else to step back with the ego? We seek for mastery and set improvement as a lasting goal. And we promote the Autobot spirit. which is like an insider because Autobot is known for the spirit and people call it like that. And so for us, it was the main task to have it implemented in everything that we do. This hospitality thinking. In German, you call it Gastfreundschaft, which you cannot translate in English in a good way. But being friendly, being welcoming, and being actually a team and to be very open-minded. And the HR vision itself was focusing the innovation and the cross-functional self-organized teams, and an outstanding employer brand. And having an outstanding employer brand, you know that it's not marketing; it's being a good employer, and or not only marketing. So question yourself: are we a good employer? And what do we do for it? And what is the benefit that we give to the employees? Why are they here? Why don't they go to another company? Is that okay? Or yeah.
Hey, you said something like long-term work hits or beats daily business. How did you manage it? The prioritization of the task and so on. For example, sending out contracts to applicants or something. For me, this is both. This is just a short-term task, but it creates value in the long term. So how was the prioritization process there?
Yeah. You're totally right. It's both. We cannot exist without handling the other one. We decided to have more like present awareness of how do we do things and whether those processes in a daily business may be leaner and faster. So, for example, contract creation, so that you have always like full responsibility, who's responsible for it, that if you have, for example, any changes in a contract, for example, we have it and we have several contracts for several groups of employees and countries and, you know, and female, male, stuff like that. To not have uncertainties in processes, which like are very strict. So those things would be also very important to see what is the reason for the high time invest we have in certain things to be done, and we try to leverage that or to make it leaner. But you're totally right. It's not that easy, and it is always a dialogue on that within the team. So if we have our daily stand-up, and Eva would say to me, "So Maria, I'm very sorry, I cannot deliver this thing that we have agreed on till the end of the week because there is daily business occurring." And then we can decide as a team, what can we do about that? How important is one thing or the other? And it is a dialogue and a solution finding as a team.
Did you use all the teams for interviewing the people, or was there any process before to find the right candidates for a team, and then the team could decide if this is really the right candidate?
Okay, so the marketing, the HR marketing and distribution of ads and like initiation of contacts to people, we owned still. Like to post job ads and to provide links to employees so they can spread it in their network, for example. And when the applicants came in, we defined who is screening the candidates. And upfront, we defined the job profile and then the requirement set. So it was clear to everybody how we decide whether the right candidate is interviewed. And to get the right candidates, this is like the real tough question about that. How do you do recruiting and how do you find the right people? And there it is also like the same way with team hiring. Because me being a psychologist doing HR, and I have to find AWS backend developer, and I I don't know that field that well, and I don't have any like profound network having worked with those people. And so the team is much more qualified to do so. And if they feel the ownership, they will think about that. Whom did I meet at the conference? What does my friend do? And her partner and her cousin. So they find also more creative approaches to that. So if you give the process or the ownership to the teams, they will find better solutions that you would do being not an expert in that. What actually worked also very good for us is HR needs to understand the business. Otherwise, we cannot help, and we are useless. If we don't know what actually is the customer needs, how are they handled. And we decided to rotate within the office. We have like an HR island for tables. We look at each other, make our HR jokes and stuff like that. And we decided, okay, for 1 week, one of us moves to someone else. And we just joined the support team and worked there. So it doesn't matter where you sit. And if we had calls, we would like go into a meeting room. And also being with the developers or with sales and being part of the team, just being with them, you participate in how's the working culture, what needs do they have, participate in team meetings. And it is very, very beneficial to learn also for every team member to understand what is the needs of the team and how can I answer them. And also it makes the others understand what you do, which is also very valuable. Okay, then thank you very much for joining the story. And good luck with getting a job in HR.